The liars talk about matters of perspective. I talk about a matter of fact. Haru is the only son of Ra, and therefore he is the only characteristic or aspect of Ra that man knows. He relays the message of Ra to humanity, and he's the archetype of the Pharaoh, the only one who can communicate to God. Everything else is Satanism. Luciferianism, when given a nice term, but truly Satanism. It is rebellion against the one true masculine God and his son, the Pharaoh. Just like Jesus is the only son, the only true son of God. Well, when you look at Marduk in Mesopotamia, the different gods are said to be different aspects of Marduk. Well, Zeus is the devil. He is Satan. And even in the Bible, it says to the church of in Pergamum, I believe it is, where I know where you are, where Satan has his throne. So we see many aspects of a gender-neutral Zeus, if you will, expressed through the Greco-Roman system, most pronounced in Greece, perhaps. Now, Apollo and Hermes are some of the more important ones. So is Ares and Artemis and so on. So if you were to say that Zeus is Lucifer, for example, Ares tells the tale of the war deity in him finding the love in him to create the harmony. So Satan's potential that is lost to create a certain harmony, which is not the harmony that God meant. So no matter what direction you take from a kind of Western civilization philosophy, you're not going to find God. Trust me, I know this. I'm part white. I'm not racist. This is the truth. You're not going to find him because this is a reaction to the truth. Let's explore why that is. Haru versus Apollo. Haru is the avenger, whereas Apollo is a deity of poetry. Haru has the hawk eye of martial arts, insight, a honed senses, a honed understanding, whereas Apollo has to do with science, and that includes chemistry. So the tree of Zeus is the tree of knowledge of good and evil, chemistry, which does not allow one to achieve a divinity or a divine state or a spiritual state. It is a chemical state. Their oracles at Delphi, in other words, would, in other places, would become hallucinatory. They would hallucinate. They would drug themselves up. They would get drunk, and they would start babbling nonsense. Thus, the Babylon mysteries. Babylon, another place where the rebellion against God is pronounced. Haru is the Skywalker, right? The actual dance of war. Whereas Apollo is simply a deity of music. Haru deals in war arts, martial arts. He's a war god, a sky god. Whereas Apollo deals in the fine arts. And of course, when the Greeks relate Apollo to Haru, he takes on new form, just like when the Romans come, and they downplay the martial art aspects. So no, black people, if you take on a Greco-Roman kind of Prince Hall Mason perspective of Egypt, you are whitewashed, you are Eurocentric, and you are basically betraying the human race, because we're all one big family for the race, for the quote-unquote race you claim to despise, which is the white race, unavoidable. Moving on. Haru has the hawk's grace, right? Grace, and the harmony from grace. Whereas Apollo has eloquence. Understand the difference. It has to do with image and illusion, presentation versus the application of the Haru war temple. Haru is the fisherman, whereas Apollo is a hunter who uses his scales to kill Niobe's children because she assaulted Leto, I believe his mother. He is the son of Zeus, the son of the devil, Pergamum, where Satan has his throne, as told by the Greeks and Romans themselves. They said, yes, our mysteries are evil. Zeus is the devil. Haru is the son of Ra, where the entire world said this is the one true God, pretty much. And then they reacted to the martial arts order through Haru, his only son. The Oracle of Delphi, the Delphi Shrine, the hallucinatory state. The island of Delos is his birthplace under a palm tree. Palm oil, the ebos, the palm trees, palm wine, etc. Okay? So he was born on an island, just like the island of Crete. Go on the map and look at where Crete is. Crete is probably the most pronounced island north of Egypt on the map, period. Okay, that's where Circe comes from, your church. Kirk, Circe's, church. Look up the etymology of the word and look up phonetics and so on. His sister is Artemis, a female huntress, right? Ares is also important, and Hermes. Of course, you have the association with Orpheus, the Orphic mysteries. Okay, he goes to hell, he's a music player, right? He turns back and sees his lover, and he loses her forever as a result. Love affairs with mortal girls and nymphs. So he's also a god of lust and adultery and sexual immorality. Haru is a sky and a sun god. Apollo, as expressed by the Sicilians, and this is part of the disagreement between the Greeks and the Sicilians, is he's displayed as a sun god, and he's kind of a bigger, stronger guy. And this is a disagreement between some of the Europeans as big, strong warrior versus the coordination of mind, body, soul, and spirit through martial arts. Of course, they didn't even have their martial arts. They had, armor and Iron Age and so on. And then later on, the Indians would bring martial arts to the Chinese, and through there, you would get it injected into the Roman Empire, which went hundreds of years into the AD. Okay. And that led us to, these different robber barons and different Habsburg type people, eventually in Europe would have all these, colonists and so on. And we'll get to that in a second. He is a hawk head. He is a non-racist deity. He's a hawk head. He's undefined. You breed with the pharaonic African line. They can breed with white people, Asian people, whatever, and you'll get the next pharaoh. He's an Egyptian god. Whereas Apollo has a human head, a very pretty boy white head, and we'll get to that in a second. He's an Egyptian god, whereas Apollo's a Greek. Now, when we look at Hermes, he's a god of merchants, seamen, good luck, thieves, pickpockets, mischief, the epitome of male beauty, and also a son of Zeus, also an aspect of Zeus. Now, why is this important? Well, he has a human head. He's defining male beauty in terms of European beauty. That's why people with European and Eurasian traits are seen as more beautiful. This is part of the illusion. Is there a degree of truth in that? Perhaps, because they had cultures where they bred more toward beauty of someone than the spirit of someone, so perhaps their flesh is more beautiful. I would allow for that possibility, because I speak truth. I am true of voice. That is my religion. Heart, true of voice, integrity, moral will. Not illusion, not public relations, not propaganda. That is their military-industrial complex, mythology, psychiatry, psychology, philosophy, derived belief system. Cultural values. Where do their cultural values start? Well, the myths brought to them by those in Egypt and Babylon and the Orient that rejected the natural martial arts, the only way to express spiritual power, combat, life and death, order of Egypt. Comes through the islands, Crete, Sicily. They land in southern Europe, the southern Mediterranean basin. Okay, and then what happens? And then from these mysteries you get Socrates, Plato, Hippocrates, Aristotle, Alexander the great Western philosophies, all the way on through to Shakespeare and them. Culminating in the church's philosophers, whose philosophy, reason, and faith is also very much so leaning toward the mythology. So mythology gave us philosophy. Psychology was a branch of philosophy, and psychiatry is applied psychology with drugs, going back to the mystery schools, mythology, where we drug people. Babylon system, Greek system, mystery system, kept in the dark, versus the God of light. You see, the Helios is not that important. Why isn't the sun god important? Why is he demoted, right? It goes Ra above them all. Then, I'm going to put Amen the usurper, Amen-Ra. Amen-Ra's cult, priesthood, presents the Rosetta Stone, the rosette, the pattern of the leper. That's what it refers to. Look it up. To the Serapis guys. Serapis is an aspect of Zeus, which is Hades, and Apis. Osiris compared to Hades, and Apis together. Serapis, a characteristic of Zeus. Zeus is a rapist, just like Poseidon, another characteristic of Zeus. who, one could argue, are characteristics of Kronos, who is willing to eat his own children to maintain power. So does he care that we're all God's children? No, he's willing to eat his own children to maintain power. Of course, Kronos is compared to Saturn. Saturn, role reversal. So Zeus is the emphasized god of, we'll say, the West. And he is a characteristic of Saturn that is so divisive, so cunning, that he was able to trick his father, where that characteristic comes from, into releasing the other children, his other children, which is like Hestia, Hades, Poseidon, Demeter, and Hera. Okay. So when you look at this, it is heart, truth, true voice, integrity, and moral will versus illusion, corrupt systems, and the corrupt cults that support them. Rapists, murderers, they exploit, they put you in prison for something you wouldn't have done naturally, but they use illusion and trickery and push your buttons and provoke you to rape, sexually provocative women. You know, they might lick their lips, they might wink at you, they might do little things to bring it out of you. And when you can't have what they have led you on, and they were asking for it, there is a truth to that. I'm not saying blame the victim. I'm saying identify who is the real victim in this great psychological illusion, this marketing scheme of these cults, where culture is derived from. These are the cult centers of these cultures, and they revolve around Zeus, especially Apollo, Hermes, Orpheus, Pan, who is Bacchus, Dionysus, derived from Bes partially, and Bacchus from Hermatis, Mont, the strong bull, Apis, the bull. The bullshit. Zeus as a bull carrying away, I believe, Hera, who is together they are the parents of Ares, the god of war, who needs love to bring in harmony. Harmonia. Any questions? Watch this video 10, 12 times until you get it. I assure you I am right. My family is now being sabotaged, I assume, because of my claim about my dad being a brain surgeon. The old, let's sue him 1,000,000 times over and say he's not such a great brain surgeon after all. Despicable. Christianity is derived from a religion of martial arts discipline, which is what it is missing. What does it take to carry your cross? What does it take to have the heart to follow through? The discipline is a field of science from some scientists helping the elite, some Apollo-type bitch helping Hermes rape with his mischief and pickpockets, helping Zeus rape? Perhaps the military discipline, the discipline of the soldier that forces society to bend over so that Pan can fuck them in the ass. Or is it a martial arts, light tempo, pure light, non-Asian discipline that comes from Africa, where we're all from, out of the love and loyalty to God? Is there any question in your mind that this is truly seeking the kingdom of heaven versus selfishness, immorality? This is a war of reproduction. Reproducing in the spirit of God and true love and truth, with the true voice, true heart, courage, intelligence. It takes heart to have the courage to seek true wisdom and to build on it with truth, true intelligence, no ulterior motives, no misleading your fellow man. We're all one human race. Heart must be the seat of intelligence. There is no other way. Truth must be the intelligence, the courage to tell the truth and to build in the right direction, regardless who is elevated above who. Selflessness versus selfishness. Even the Pharaoh in the true Logos, starting with, Ptah was the first mention of it in Egypt, just like martial arts comes from Egypt. There's no question about this. None is Africa. It's a done deal. Why wasn't it anywhere else? Regardless of what race you want to make them seem like, even though they have brown skin in their depiction, they're obviously a mixed race. Some had straight hair, some had a curly hair. They're obviously a mixed race. Why is it in Africa? Because it comes from black people, and mixed people eventually created the controversy when people come together and start comparing their different directions tens of thousands of years after man went his different directions. Trade routes, merchants. See the truth. reproduce in the right spirit. But yes, I will crush anyone who goes against me in the spiritual realm. They're done.